Hello, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're going to dig deep, literally, into the world right under our feet. We're exploring the very foundation of our planet. And believe me, we're going to find a really surprising link between two very, very different things.
Okay, let's just dive straight in with a little puzzle for you. Have you ever wondered, what could the magnificent, beautiful Taj Mahal and just a simple, ordinary lump of coal possibly have in common?
I mean, just look at that. It's quite the contrast, isn't it? On one hand, you have this incredible symbol of beauty, and on the other, a common piece of fuel. They seem like they're from completely different worlds. But I promise you, by the end of this, you'll see the secret connection they share.
So here's our plan for today. First, we'll ask what's under our feet. Then we'll meet the great rock families. After that, we'll see how stone becomes structure, find some of Earth's hidden treasures, and finally, we'll talk about our fuel and our future. Let's go!
All right, first up, what is actually under our feet? Let's break down the absolute basics of what makes up this planet of ours.
So what is a rock, really? Well, you can think of it as a huge mass of material that covers big areas of the Earth. The easiest way to picture it is like this. A rock is like a big house, and living inside that house are one or more special little things called minerals.
Now it's time for us to meet the great rock families. You should think of them as the three main characters in our story today, and each one has its own very unique origin story.
So who are these characters? First, there's igneous, the one born from fire. Then you have sedimentary, the one that is patiently built up layer by layer. And finally, metamorphic, the one that goes through a complete and total transformation. Let's get to know them a bit better.
So igneous rocks, they're the OGs, the originals, the Earth's very first rocks. They are formed when that super hot molten rock from deep inside the Earth, we call it magma or lava, cools down and becomes solid. You can almost think of them as the Earth's first babies, born straight out of a volcano.
And a really famous example of an igneous rock is granite. You've definitely seen this. It's incredibly hard and strong. In fact, I bet you've walked on it or seen it in buildings just today, because it's used so often for buildings and even for our streets. It's pretty much everywhere.
Okay, now for our second family member. The story of a sedimentary rock is all about patience, a lot of patience. It all begins with these tiny, broken little pieces of other rocks, small grains of sand, and little pebbles that are carried around by rivers and the wind.
And these tiny pieces, they slowly settle down, piling up layer on top of layer on top of layer, and this doesn't happen quickly. We're talking about millions of years. It's kind of like a giant natural layer cake that Mother Earth is baking very, very slowly.
And this is where it gets really cool. Trapped between all those layers, you can find the remains of ancient plants and animals. We call them fossils, and they're just like a history book written in stone, telling us all these stories about life on Earth from millions of years ago. Amazing, right?
And our third character, metamorphic, is the master of change. You see, these rocks start out as either igneous or sedimentary rocks, but then they get a total makeover. Deep under the Earth, they get cooked and squeezed by so much heat and pressure that they become something completely new.
This shows you how one type of rock can totally transform into another. I mean, take marble, for instance. It starts its life as a simple sedimentary rock called limestone, but after that intense heat and pressure makeover, it becomes the beautiful, strong marble that we see in so many famous buildings.
Which actually brings us perfectly to our next section, from stone to structure. Now we're going to see how these very rocks have been used to build some of our country's and even the world's most famous and beautiful monuments.
So, here we have sandstone, that layered sedimentary rock we were just talking about. And what incredible structure was built with it? None other than the magnificent red fort in Delhi. That iconic red color of the fort, it comes directly from this exact rock. And here is that transformed, metamorphic rock, marble. This stunning white marble was used to create one of the most breathtaking buildings in the entire world, the Taj Mahal in Agra. The beauty of the rock itself has become the beauty of the monument.
Okay, so we've met the rock families. But do you remember what we said? Rocks are the houses for minerals. So now, let's explore Earth's hidden treasures and discover the minerals that are hiding inside these rocks.
Minerals basically come in two main types:
On the left here, we have metallic minerals. This is where we get our really useful metals like iron for machines, copper for our wires, and aluminum for utensils. Then on the right, you have non-metallic minerals. They don't contain metals, but they are just as important. This group includes resources like coal and petroleum.
And that brings us to our final and very important section for today, our fuel, our future. This is the story of those non-metallic minerals, coal and petroleum, the stuff that literally powers our modern world.
So how do we even get something like coal? Well, have a look at this. It says coal is believed to be formed about 300 million years ago from the remains of dead plants. Just try to imagine that. 300 million years? Ancient, swampy forests died, got buried deep in the earth, and were slowly crushed and cooked into the coal we use today.
And what about petroleum? That thick black liquid sometimes they call black gold. Well, of course, it gives us fuel for our cars and planes. But just look at this list. It's also used to make lubricating oil, printing ink, even medicines, the wax for our candles, asphalt for our roads, and the solvents for dry cleaning. It's in almost every single part of our lives.
But here's the catch. While these natural resources are incredibly valuable, they are also limited. They're finite. They won't last forever if we keep using them like we are. And of course, burning them releases harmful gases and causes pollution, which is a massive challenge for our planet.
And all of this brings us back to that big question we started with. We've seen how rocks and minerals formed over hundreds of millions of years, built our greatest monuments, and powered our civilization. But we also know they won't last forever. So the question for all of us is, these resources built our world. What will we use to build our future?